So we have invited Mandy Goodhandy, a.k.a. Amanda Taylor, on the show to discuss this story further. She's the first stand-up trans woman comedian in Canada and has been living as a trans woman.
On your street before. Some may say that I'm a trashy,
this is going to be controversial.
And I love to drink and get really high, knowing I work the street where you live. I'll get on my knees when the pants are down. I have not disowned anything for myself. You see, I need the cash to buy my future wedding gown, but my fiancé doesn't know that I'm a working girl, 'cause it's just on the street where you live. And all the powers I'm not sure, just you know, my plan is free. That's none of your business, and that's the only thing that's none of your business.
And I'm not going to blame society.
And some take it off the year.
They made me this way.
They don't bother me. I was called names, and I was bullied, and I was confused. I thought, well, what am I doing wrong? It's so natural for me to be, I'm a little girl, leave me alone. And just look, but I never ever called myself a little girl, don't get me wrong. It's because I knew I wasn't a little girl, but I knew how I was naturally and how I felt. But I didn't know there was a label on it. People would come up to me and ask me and say, are you a little boy or a little girl? At that point, I knew I was a little boy. I'm dressed like a little boy. And then I would get a little upset because, well, I'm a boy. You know, and then I'm getting upset and I'm thinking, well, obviously, I mean, I am a little boy, but I should be a little girl, but I didn't know how to explain it to people. He was a mean man and he was strict, you know, but I knew he loved me. When they cleaned out his locker at work, there was pictures of me in there, newspaper clippings from when I was in theater. I had no idea. The rest of my family had no idea that he even kept any of this. And that's how proud he was of me, but he never said anything. I always just felt that he was ashamed of me. And so when that happened, it was like, okay, it's not too late. My dad loved me. He made me strong. If I had just been coddled by my mother, I would never have built up any strength. I would never have been able to accomplish what I accomplished in Secret Acts, for example. I would never have been able to find that pretend male persona that helped me survive through a lot of my life. Almost the day he died is when my transition into being a trans woman began. It was back in the day. At this point, it was early 1980s. And all of a sudden, there was this advertisement. I'm looking at this ad, and here's this picture of this guy in a cape and a glittery outfit.
Let's see some hands up in the air. Come on!
And it was so different that every newspaper was on it. It was shocking. And I wanted to do that. This is fascinating because it was different. It was different. You got to wear fancy costumes, okay, and you got to perform in front of women, okay. And I loved women. I always loved women. They were my friends. I picked the name Johnny because it was common, and it was always a name that was used in movies for you know the lead in a movie and Johnny, oh, he's so cute, and Johnny's so picked on, and Johnny's so, I loved the name because it just seemed to fit with, you know, I was really young and I was kind of like extremely innocent actually, and and I'm doing this theater thing. And then the fantasy was I would come out and I would do different little looks. I had a cowboy thing and I had a rocker thing, and so it was like whatever your fantasy. So that's why I picked the name Johnny Fantasy. And it was a really good, I really enjoyed that. It took my mind off of being confused with my gender. And it worked out for quite a while, where I didn't have to go through so much confusion because I was really enjoying my life, enjoying my time. And I made it a career. Like anything I've always done in my life, it's like you do it and you do it well and you make it a career. And you be proud of what you do and you never be ashamed of what you do, as long as it's not hurting people. I really enjoyed that part of my life and that part of Johnny Fantasy. And what happened was when I stopped being Johnny Fantasy, the male stripper, I started performing as Johnny Fantasy, the drag queen. It was almost like it was destiny. I got out of the cab one night in front of my building, okay, and I was maybe a few feet away from the front door of the building. And I got out of the taxi and I started walking towards the door. And I was wearing a this fur coat that some girl had lent me. And I was wearing this fur coat and I was walking towards the door and I heard this guy behind me going, "Excuse me." Excuse me, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get beaten up. Okay, because that's what I always thought, that somebody was going to beat me up whenever they were stopping me on the street. And I kind of turned around and yes. And this guy was standing there, and it was like, and he turns around and he goes, "Are you working?" And I said, "Well, no, I would just finished work." And he said, "No, are you working like these girls are?" And I thought, oh, wait. And of course, not being an idiot, but I was innocent. I thought, oh, he's asking me if I'm working. And I thought, well, you know, let me see. The entrepreneur in me kind of woke up and went, let's see what we can do with this. And so I turned around to him and I said, "You can afford me, dear." I said, "I'm just getting home." I said, "I'm kind of tired." And I said, "It'd be very expensive. It's $200. I said, "For like 15 minutes. And I thought for sure that was it. And I was going back to my house. He said, "Okay." And of course, I'm not going to turn that way. And I thought, oh, wait a minute, what's the most I have to do? And, and I kind of went, I said, "Just so you know," I said, "I will go down on you and that's it." Anyway, and that's fine. So we went into my house. And sure enough, he was amazing. He gives me the $200. He gets off and he leaves. And I thought, what just happened? What have I been doing all my life? That was $200 for 15 minutes where I was in charge. I decided what I wanted to do. I decided what I was comfortable with. And this guy actually wasn't all that bad looking. And I thought, this is different. We're all alone, feel free to moan, but don't you slumber. You call my number to misbehave. I'll fuck your bum until you come. I blow a hand job. I'll spare till you sob. Let's misbehave. But there's gotta be sleight of hand, you see. You can't pay me for pleasing, but I can charge for sex, no matter what the season. Just so you know, you're paying for the show, not anal intrusion. Thanks to the Lord's confusion, let's misbehave right now. It's not for everybody, of course. And I'm glad when I chose it and I wasn't forced to do it. But during that process is where that little girl woke up again from back in the day, where I thought, this is the most comfortable I have ever felt. And for the first time, I felt that everything had come together and I was actually me. And it wasn't because I was a sex worker. It was because I felt real. I finally was able to live the way I should have been born. It took the prostitution and the sex work to bring me that realization. So how can anyone, like in my situation, be ashamed of being a sex worker when a sex worker is exactly what brought me around to being me and making me who I am and become part of who I am.
No, we like it.
Is it going well with your dinner?
Yeah.
So there's a bill on the table, it's being tabled also with sex workers, okay? Because we're not allowed to decide what we want to do with our bodies because that's the government that has to decide something like that. Now, when it comes to prostitution, please do not get me wrong. I do not believe that people should ever be forced into that occupation. And I do not believe that anyone who is underage should be in that occupation. But then on the other hand, if it's regulated, that won't be happening to begin with.
Right.
So regulation would be nice, and so we can be protected more as sex workers.
And it's almost like it's therapy because you're letting it all out up there. And God knows I don't hold back.
I'm sorry, isn't this a peep show?
And sometimes I'll go on a rant that's not funny. It's peppered with politics because I'm up there, it's my time, I'm going to say what I want. And most of the time people seem to be enjoying it.
And it's all because of the dick. Yes, I said dick. Because it all comes down to that all the time when it comes to trans women. You don't know that unless you're a trans woman. Are there any trans women here? Holy fuck, I'm gonna get beaten up in the parking lot.
I'm just trying to do my story. No one can censor your story.
You're a bunch of perverts, really, when it comes right down to it. I want to introduce you to $10,000. I won't care if I can work here on the street where you live.
This is going to be controversial for people.